questions. Now let us know about the first key indicator, that is student enrollment and profile. Key indicator 2.1, student enrollment and profile. Here, two informations has to be provided. One is in Excel sheet, another one is the summary report. Here is the visible is format is for summary statistics. Here we need to mention the enrollment percentage. That is 2.1.1, the first question in Criterion 2. Number of students admitted year-wise during the last 5 years. So here the details required here is, if the academic year 21-22 will be the first year, then what is the total admissions for the first year of degree? That is for first year program, how many number of students have been got admission? So that has to be mentioned here. Many of the institutions will be mentioning the total admission. That is a wrong information we will be providing to the NAAC. The right information is the first year data should be provided here. And number of sanctioned seats. Another sub question is there here. Number of sanctioned seats year-wise during the last 5 years. We can easily understand the sanctioned seats will be provided for only first years. The second year, final year, or third year, final year, those students will be called as readmission. So that is not the sanctioned seats. Only for the first year program, suppose BCom first year, how many seats allotted from the university, affiliated university, that number of seats need to be mentioned together with all the number of programs what we are offering in our institution. Suppose here, if you are offering 4 programs as per the affiliation letter, but only 3 programs are functioning, then you are supposed to mention all 4 also. Because while submitting the IIQA, we need to update the sanction letter. Our affiliation letter need to be mentioned in the IIQA stage itself. There, directly the NAAC people will take whatever the programs we have mentioned in the IIQA, that will appear here directly. So, hence, if it is not functioning also, the number of seats sanctioned for that program will also to be included. Hence, my suggestion is on that. The institution can take a decision to surrender few seats. If you have a sanctioned seat of 200, 300 and you are getting admission of 150, then it is not necessary to have 300 seats. And later wise, at the university level, with the requisition letter from the principal, you can get additional seats if you want. So at the time of LIC visit, that is local inspection committee visiting to the institution, non-functioning programs, if any programs is not functioning for 2 to 3 years, then it has to be surrendered back. Later, if you want to offer, then you can take it. So for what purpose I am telling is, it is for the purpose of getting good CGPA in this metric 2.1.1. The enrollment percentage will be computed on the basis of first year students actual admitted and divided by the sanctioned seats. So if you have a sanctioned seats of 3,000 and if you have only 1,000 admission for first year, then the percentage will drop to the 33.33%. So it is not a good score for the first question. So for this purpose, the further details will be asked in this manner. Program wise and year wise, category wise admission details or abstract need to be mentioned over there. So that has to be taken print out in the letterhead of the institution. That itself speaks as a second document. The first document is affiliation letter, and combining these two. So if it is in a regional language, then we have to prepare a summary report in English that has to be submitted to the NAAC. So if you mention the summary report in the first page itself, then the DVV will be reduced. So if you are provided the affiliation letter in the regional language, then DVV will be increased on this. So they will be stating. So here, as per the NAAC DVV for the recent one college, we got like this. For 2.1.1, number of students admitted year-wise during the last 5 years, they have mentioned 247, which is of sanctioned of 490 seats. So they have asked about, please provide signed document indicating serial number, name of the student, roll number, program, and other details of admission. So if the serial number is required to count the number of students admitted in each year, it will be helpful for the NAAC. So we need to put the serial number for total students. And please provide a letter from competent authority sanctioning of the seats for the programs offered by the institution. So here competent authority means university. So the letter should be provided from the affiliating university stating the total number of seats sanctioned for that institution. If these two documents are attached, we can easily reduce the DVV questions for us. So now let us know about the second question, which is also equally awarded with the 20 weightage, that is percentage of seats filled against seats reserved for various categories, that is SC, ST, OBC and Divyangan, etc. As per applicable reservation policy during the last 5 years, exclusive of supernumerary seats. Many of the institutions will be in a dilemma that what are we following the government rules and what was the percentage? Are we following it? Our institution is a private institution. So how to put the data for this? These type of questions are dilemmas will be there. So to reduce or to avoid these type of things. So the thing is, if you have 100 seats, as per the government rule, 50% has to be provided to the reservation and 50% for GM. If you are unable to get the reservation category students, then those seats will be awarded to GM seats only. So there is no issue for that. That is the practical thing which happens in each and every institution. For the NAAC purpose, if you are able to achieve complete, suppose for SC seats, so it is 15% of total seats. That is, take for example, if you have 100 seats, for SC students, 15 seats must be kept for them. If you get 15 students at the first year, then you will get complete marks. 100% marks will be awarded. Weightage will be given. 20 weightage will be given. If you are able to get only 10 students, so then you have achieved 66% of the allocation. So then according to that benchmark, you will going to get the marks. That itself indicates that we should give the real picture and we should not show excess seats. Suppose in some institution, what happens? The allocated seats for SE is 15, but the admission is 20. Then in practical, you will be giving the seats to the SC students or ST or OBC, whoever comes, according to the seats available. But when to the NAAC purpose, here they have mentioned, if you allotted more number of seats than allocated seats, just restrict to the allocated seats and mention that statistic. The remaining you can consider in the GM. That means if you have allocated for 20 students, as per the rule, 15 seats are available for SC. Then in the actual admitted column, you should show only 15. The remaining 5 students will be counted in GM column, but it will not be affected to their admission, only for the purpose of valuation. It's a computerized system, it will be evaluating. So if you cross 100%, it will provide a DVB. Hence my request, kindly know the reservation policy, and as of now 15% for SC, 3% for ST and 32% including Divyangan is for OBC. So if you have a Divyangan student, 4% you can keep it as allocation for them. Then the remaining 28% will be for OBC. If Divyangan students are not available, then complete 32% will be awarded for OBC. So this type of seats will be allocated. So here many of the confusions will be there. The thing is, you should, according to the rule, you have to keep record of seats, but the practical admissions may be vary. Whatever the number, if it is less than 100%, you can mention. If it is more than 100%, then you have to show it in the GM column with respect to the reservations. So that is the information here required. The data is as it is university approval list category wise that can be considered. The second one is government order for reservation policy. So that has to be taken care. If it is in a regional language, then you have to give the summary in English as well. So this is the format for providing the details about the reserved category students year-wise. The first two rows will be there, year and number. Year 21-22, descending order, you will be mentioning another 4 years. And numbers out of the first year. Here also few institutions make a mistake of entering total number of students of all the 3 years or 4 year students. It is not like that. It is also for first year only. The first two questions of Criterion 2 speaks about the first year data. What is the sanctioned and how much you have kept as a reservation among the sanctioned. That has to be provided in the second sub-question. Actual admission should be provided in the first sub-question. So this is about the percentage of seats filled against seats reserved for various categories. And the further slides will be explaining the Excel sheet, how you are supposed to mention to have a complete picture without having any dilemma about this question. So one template will be there for both the sub questions, that is percentage of seats filled against seats reserved for various category. Here the first one is, first column indicates about the program name. Suppose BCom is a program, so that has to be mentioned here. So if you are offering BAHE as a program, then BAHE has to be mentioned here in the first column. The second column speaks about the program code, where you are supposed to mention the program code which is allotted by the affiliated university. And many of the program code can be available at the university websites, or in the syllabus copy also you will get the program code details. Then for BCom, how many number of seats sanctioned? So that has to be mentioned. Total number has to be mentioned here. If it is 100, you will mention it as 100. If it is 300, you will mention it as a 300 as a sanctioned seats. Then the fourth column indicates about the number of students admitted. Here for BCom first year 100 seats were there. How many students got allotted? So 80 students. That will be total will be mentioned in this column. The second portion speaks about the number of seats earmarked for reserved category as per the GOI or state government rule, according to your state governments. So I have mentioned about the Karnataka government rules. And here, if you have 100 seats, for SC, you will mention here it as 15, for ST 3, OBC 28, and Divyangan 4 if available. If not, 32 in the OBC column, and the remaining 50 seats in the general merit. So put together 100 will be there. So the next portion is very much important. Here we need to observe. For each and every institution, the first column will be very easy, where the second portion will be difficult to fill. They find difficult. The simple thing is, number of students admitted from the reserved category is the first column. For SC, for BCom, how many students got admitted? Now here on the left side, we have mentioned 15. Here the maximum limit is 15. Take an example of a glass where you can pour the water until you fill the glass. If you are pouring again and again, it will not be useful for. Like that only, 15 seats can be filled here. If you have awarded to 18 students, the remaining 3 to be counted here in the general merit. Only the SC to the cap of 15 students you can mention. If only 10 students are admitted, then you will mention only 10 students here. For ST, 3 students will be there. No student allotted, 0. For OBC, for 32 seats are available and you have been given the admission for 38, then you have to mention only 32 here. The remaining 6 should be counted under the general merit. So like this, we will going to give the statistics to the NAAC. And in reality, the student will be admitted according to their own, whatever the seats provided by the institution. Here, the percentage will be calculated like this. Total number of actual students admitted from the reserved categories during the last 5 years. That is SC, ST, OBC. How many students were got the seats during last 5 years, all the 5 years, divided by total number of seats marked for reserved category. So total number of seats for the last 5 years available into 100. You will get some percentage, need not to be calculated by the institution. Automatically, it will be mentioned in the SSR. So here on the basis of benchmark, you will going to get the marks. So this is about the key indicator 1. So let us move on to the key indicator 2.2, that is student-teacher ratio. Here it has been allotted with the 40 weightage again. The first question in key indicator 2 speaks student full-time teacher ratio. So for the data for the latest completed academic year, here for last 5 years data is not required. Only the recent completed academic year data to be provided here. The formula to calculate the ratio is, first we have to mention the total number of students. Here, if admission is 2000 total from the all the degree programs for all the first year, second year, final year, so then the total students will be counted here. Is to full-time teacher. Full-time teacher here means whoever crosses the 90% of the UGC workload. Here 90% of the UGC workload means for other streams it will be 16 hours, and for science stream which are having the practicals will be having a 20 hours of teaching hours. Out of that 90%, that means for other stream minimum 14 hours if they are teaching, they can be considered as a full-time teacher. And for science stream, minimum 18 hours they have to teach. Unless until they teach 18 hours, they cannot be counted as a full-time teacher. If you have a clarity on this, you can reduce the questions at the time of DBB. And many of the institutions will be having a dilemma to whether to count the librarian and physical director as a full-time teacher, because they will be also paying the same scale or in the same manner they will be treated. But here the NAAC is completely focusing on teaching and evaluation in criteria 2. Only for this criterion, if they are teaching, if any programs are offered with respect to their physical director or the librarian, like library science subjects have been taught, then they also can be considered as a teacher. If they are teaching for more than 90% of the UGC workload, then they can be considered as a full-time teacher. That's why in the NEP, the subjects related to physical director and the librarian have been introduced, and it will be helpful for students as well for their curricular enhancement. Until they are teaching, they cannot be considered as a full-time teacher as per the DVVs what we have received. Regarding this DVV, I will just mention one point. For this category-wise details, you require to provide the admission statistics. When it comes to the case of full-time teacher, data completed for the latest academic year has to be mentioned. And sometimes if there is no change, they will not going to ask any DVV. If they find, if you have added the librarian and physical director, then there might be a chance asking what are the subjects allotted to them and how many students have been got admission to that programs which that courses which belongs to the physical director and librarian. So on this basis, a student full-time teacher. And as per UGC, the ideal full-time teacher ratio is 25:1. For every 25 students, a full-time teacher must be there. So if you have that, easily you will score 40 weightage. Less than that, the marks will be, weightage will be very less. So the only question in criterion key indicator 2.2 is student full-time teacher ratio. If your ratio is higher than 25:1, 40:1, 50:1, 100:1, then you will score very less. If your ratio is less than 25:1, more weightage will be provided. So this type of statistical information I can give it in the criterion 2.2.1. The next key indicator speaks about the teaching learning process. Here also it is been awarded with the 40 weightage, and only one QLM is there where you are supposed to write it in the 500 words. Here, the thing what we have to concentrate while writing this 2.3.1, the thing is 5-point scale will be there at the time of peer team visit. They will going to evaluate this question and they will allot marks. Out of 0 to 4, if they give 0, you will get only 0 weightage. If they give 1, according to their level of training, they will going to award the marks. So if they give only 1, then you will get 40 weightage. If they give 2, you will get 80 weightage from this question. Like that, if you get 4 out of 4, then 160 weightage will be provided here. 160 marks or score you can easily score here. One question. If you score less, totally it will going to end up in a less grade or less CGPA. That's why I'm trying to concentrate how to gain more weightage here in criterion 2, especially about the metric 2.3.1, that is student centric methods, where you have to mention about the experiential learning, participative learning, problem solving methodologies which are used for the enhancing learning experience using ICT tools as well. Here the question is, we should speak in two ways. And the first one is teaching methodologies. What are the experiential learning methods we follow? Here the experiential learning methods are mentioned like this. Experiential learning means taking students to outside the campus and making them to learn about the curriculum. So, which is in the syllabus. So, industrial visits or anything like this, field visits. So, these, if it is in the syllabus, it will appear in criterion 1. So, on that day itself, yesterday itself, I have mentioned. So, if it is a teacher initiation, then we should mention in criteria 2. Here we need to show. If on the basis of teachers' interest, faculty members' initiative have been taken to take the students to the outside and have a practical experience about the curriculum, then it is called as experiential learning. Project reports, industrial visits, anything can be considered here. Then for the participative learning, conducting classroom quiz, debate competitions at classrooms, and group discussions or peer learning, all those activities can be considered as a participative learning, which happens in the regular classes. And the problem solving methodologies as a commerce faculty, if is teaching about the acquisition or mergers, then getting balance sheets of two practical companies and making the students to have a prepare the combined balance sheet, then that is called as problem solving methodologies. For any management subjects, you can take any critical situations where you can explain them as a manager. If you are supposed to have a two different employees, which is having very senior, having very good experience, and one more person who is having very tech based and very advanced, for whom you will provide the promotion. So in that manner, so we will be teaching them. So like that, those things can be considered as a problem solving methodologies, or any practical political issues, anything can be considered as a problem solving methodologies. This portion has to be mentioned, how the process will be designed before selecting a topic for these type of student centric methods, how a teachers will prepare, how the classes will happen, and what was the impact of that. That need to be mentioned in 300 words minimum, I feel. And for another 200 words, we should concentrate what are the ICT tools which will be used at the time of teaching to the students. ICT facilities is nothing but not only using the PPT, real-time internet, if it is available in the teaching classroom, then it will be considered as a ICT tools. Smart boards, LAN connection or Wi-Fi connection. Using that, we need to mention the students about the topic, and we need to teach by using internet. Then that can be considered as a ICT tools. So in your college, if you have 10 classrooms, out of 10 classroom, for 8 classrooms you have projectors and you will be using laptop, that cannot be considered if it is only using the PPT. At the time of using PPT also, if you are showing live demos, take for example, if you are teaching for stock exchange, then go to the stock exchange website, how the calculations happens, or how the office will be there, where it is located. These type of practical information, searching or surfing in the Google and providing to the students at real time, that can be considered as ICT teaching. So for that purpose, the main focus will be on the speed, internet speed. How much speed you have, how many classrooms are ICT enabled, how many teachers are using. And the last suggestion I would like to give in this question is, many of the humanities subjects teachers may feel it is not required for our subject to use the ICT facility. Even they can use, if they are speaking about any historical places, they can search in the Google, they can show the pictures to the students. Practically, they can explain those topics. If the teacher do like this, he will also be involving the students by, it will be mentioning as a experiential learning, student centric method it will be called as. Then ICT also using. So like this, they also can use the ICT facilities, and having the ICT facility is required in criteria 4. Using that facility will be awarded in criteria 2. So this is the 500 words we need to divide and write in the SSR. So anything else, if the advanced teaching methodologies used by the institution can be added according to this. For the normal average, any institution, these type of examples, what I have been mentioning from past explaining this question, so those can be considered. The next key indicator speaks about 2.4, teacher profile and quality. So here also, it has been awarded with the 40 weightage. Rajesh Malur, sir, can you mute yourself, sir? Thank you, sir. So here, when the key indicator 2.4 speaks about teacher profile and quality, which is awarded with the 40 weightage. The first question into 2.4.1 key indicator is percentage of full-time teachers against the sanctioned posts during the last 5 years. Percentage of full-time teachers against sanctioned post means what is the total number of sanctioned posts available, and Full-time teachers, as we have already discussed, so that has to be mentioned. Here, sanction post to get the documents is for government colleges, it will be from the department. If it is in the Kannada, that should be translated to the English in a summary report. It can be mentioned in a letterhead. For the private institution, the management has to provide the sanctioned post. Suppose if they have mentioned 30 years back and the same thing is maintained, recently an order should be taken from the management for the purpose of better documentation. Here the sanctioned post is department wise you need to take, and the full-time teachers are called as whoever appointed for more than 90% of the UGC workload. So those full-time teachers can be considered only here, and it will be awarded with 15 weightage. And the percentage will be calculated like this: total number of full-time teachers year-wise during the last 5 years divided by total number of sanctioned posts required positions for full-time teachers will be taken as a base to calculate the percentage. Depend upon the percentage, the weightage will be allocated. The next and last portion of key indicator 2.4 is the metric 2.4.2, percentage of full-time teachers with NET, SET, SLET, or PhD, or any other degrees they have mentioned. Here, previously in the old manual, they were not given the option to consider the full-time teachers having NET and SLET. So now they have added state eligibility test also. So all the teachers will be preferred with NET, clearance of NET. So if more number of faculties are there, the percentage will be increasing. So if you have 10 faculties, all 10 faculties, either they have completed PhD or they have qualified with the NET, or if they have qualified with the SET, or if they have completed DLIT, any higher degree should be considered for this. So here, the total number of full-time teachers divided by the full-time teachers having such qualifications will be taken as a numerator, and the total number of full-time teachers will be considered as a base. And the percentage will be computed. Nowadays, all the institutions are preferring the candidates with the NET, SLET as well as PhD as per the UGC norms. Hence, all the institutions may get good weightage in this question, which is awarded with the 25 weightage. So honorary degrees will not be considered here. That is the last point according to the SOP, standard operating procedure. Regarding this, we will be having a DVV, which is of indicator 2.4. That is, for one college, they have asked about the please provide sanction letters indicating number of posts sanctioned by the competent authority, including management sanctioned post. If you have added post, you can consider both. Please provide the list of full-time teachers year-wise who have worked for the at least 90% of the working days. So, and few institutions will be there where a teacher will be appointed in the May month. The actual academic year stands from the 1st June to 31st May. If a teacher is available on 31st May, we will be counting that person. But for this question, 2.4, full-time teacher means for total 90% of the working days, he should be available. If it is not, then they cannot be considered even though they have appointed. So for that year, particular year, if they have worked for less than 90% of working days, they cannot be counted for this metric. That is the one point we need to understand. For the 2.4.2 metric, they have asked in the DVB clarification, that is, please provide signed document indicating serial number, name of the faculty, whether or PhD or NAT, etc. qualified with the year of qualification. That is most important. And it may not be in the assessment year itself. If the faculty has been awarded PhD 10 years before, then also it can be considered. So do not include the librarian and physical director and principal in the list. Serial number is must for counting the teachers. So these have been the findings of the DVB partner. Here they have clearly mentioned from the NAAC itself. Do not include librarian and physical director and as well as the principal as well. So for these three, it will be not counting as a full-time teacher unless if they are teaching. Unless if they are teaching. If they are teaching, then we can raise an requisition to consider them also as a full-time teacher. Then the marks will be allocated according to this. Now, let us move on to the one more important portion, that is key indicator 2.5. Evaluation process and reforms, which is been allotted with the 40 weightage. Here, 2.5.1 mechanism of internal or external assessment is transparent and the grievance redressal system is time bound and efficient. Here we should understand what is the mechanism we are following only in relation with internal examination. If you have any practical sessions or post graduation, then external assessment as well. If the institution is offering only the UG programs, which doesn't have any practical, then only internal assessment has to be considered. If your institution having a BCA course or BBM course or any which is related to Viva and the project reports, those type of institutions should also mention about the external assessment as well. Here, they are asking only about the grievance mechanism. And many of the institutions feels that either they will say there will be no grievances at all. And a few institutions may think that grievance means anything which is related to infrastructure facility also can be considered here. No. Here, the simple thing is, for any institution in Criterion 2.5, that is 2.5.1, metric speaks about only internal marks allotment. What is the mechanism if the student have any grievance regarding their marks allotted with the reference to IA, internal assessment? Suppose one student is allotted with the 25 marks out of 40. So he will be having a doubt, so that he need to get more marks. He is supposed to get 30. So the thing is, the institution has to do it in a professional way, get a requisition letter from the particular student and put in front of the committee, which is mentioned as grievance redressal cell or examination committee. So that will be a document, and related to that grievance, the subject teacher will be informed either to re-evaluate or retotal or to reconsider once. If it is change of marks is there, then the updated information has to be provided to the student as well, and it has to be considered. And if no change is also there, that can need to be communicated. For this purpose, what type of mechanism we follow? Either online also, are you collecting the grievances, or only offline? That need to be mentioned in the first 250 to 300 words. And next 250 words or 200 words, you are supposed to mention about how many days it will take to solve these type of grievances. Suppose if it happens on Monday, how many days it will take? If it is solved in 2 days or 1 day, that is what they require. Is it time bound? And is it efficient? That need to be mentioned about how many grievances may received in an academic year, including both the semesters. Those things, if one student have been not allotted with the IA marks, that can be considered as a grievance. If one student is unable to attend the IA exam, then that also can be considered as a grievance. And he or she need to mention in a requisition letter, and it has to be submitted to the examination committee. On their decision, they will going to take the solve that case and depend upon their institution level and the committee. So that need to be addressed within less than 3 to 5 days or 7 days. If it is that, I feel it is a good mechanism. So like that, it will be awarded at the time of visit of peer team. So they will going to ask the students, is there any mechanism like this? If you get less marks, if you feel that you need to get more marks, whom do you will ask? If the students are not aware about this mechanism, then you will lose the marks, because the peer team will going to give the marks on the basis of the communication with the students and parents. So that's why my request is implement practically as much as possible, prepare a committee and communicate to the students. You will get more weightage. Here the question awarded with the 40 weightage. If they give 3, you will get 120 score. If they give only 1, you will lose 120 weightage. You will get only 40 marks. Hence, it is a most important. Then the most awaiting question, that is student performance and learning outcome key indicator 2.6, which is 90 weightage. So which is the most among all 55 questions, all 37 key indicators. The first metric in 2.6.1 is program outcome and course outcomes for all programs offered by the institution are stated and displayed on the website, and attainment of program outcomes and course outcomes are evaluated. Here they have combined both the questions which were in the previous manual. Here we need to mention the program outcomes and course outcomes. What is the mechanism to design that, or how it will be followed, whether it will be displayed or communicated to the students or not. That is one portion. The second portion is how we are going to evaluate the attainment of outcomes according to the course and programs. So this has to be mentioned about the process of evaluation about the outcomes and the process of communicating the program outcomes and course outcome to the student. Both the topics need to be covered in 500 words. Here, many of the institutions will feel we will be not having any freedom to design the program outcome or course outcome. So as per the UGC norms, the university has to provide this. Nowadays, all the institutions are providing the program outcomes and course outcomes, and that will be followed by us. Not only following, that has to be communicated to the students through some orientation programs at the beginning of the academic year. In the classrooms, you can display on the notice boards. Even in the last wave, where you can publish those program outcome or course outcomes on the website of the institution as well. There we are communicating in 3 ways that we can project. The second portion is attainment. Here a bit difficult for the many institutions how to evaluate the attainment level. That is also very much a big issue for many institutions. So they need to follow a mechanism for this. Then only the marks will be allotted more. As per previous experiences with many institutions, so we came across that many institutions lands scoring only 2 marks for these questions. That is, out of 4, they are getting only 2 from the peer team members. Many institutions, more than 80 to 90% institutions are getting less. So if you score 3, so you will going to score extra 45 marks. If you are able to prove that your mechanism of evaluating the attainment is accurate, then there is a chance of getting 4 out of 4 as well. Then you will get a complete 180 marks only from this question itself. For that purpose, so I would like to mention a few points. It may take another few minutes to explain about the details, which have been followed by some institution, and it will be helpful for us to understand in a better way. Here, the process of course outcome has been divided according to this picture. You can see the cumulative internal examination and the semester end examination. So on the both the results, we will going to evaluate the course outcome. So course outcomes can be mapped, and together it can be computed for program outcomes. First, subject wise, that is course wise, we need to evaluate the attainment level. Attainment here is nothing but the scoring of the students can be considered here. So the two portions speaks about the internal exam. One is another one is semester end examination. In internal exam, there might be a chances of giving marks to the assignments or weekly test or some exams midterm. So what is the percentage of student scoring and the set percentage of marks? Suppose if the internal marks is for 30, so the minimum percentage we need to put a standard like 24. If the standard of marks is 24, how many students are scoring more than 24? That need to be taken care into the percentage. Like that, we need to compare what is the total percentage of students, how many of them are crossing the benchmarks. That can be considered as a one portion. Another portion is the semester end examination. Here also, if they are writing the final semester examination, semester end examination for 60 marks. In NEP, they will be allotted with the 60 marks. So out of 60 marks, the benchmark, if you consider as 40, depend upon the standard, the institution may think about the quality of students. If you set a standard of 40 marks, how many students are scoring more than 40? That need to be converted into percentage. Then this will be together, that is, they have taken example of 40% weight of CIE, that is internal results, 40% of that, and 60% of semester end. By combining these two, they will going to calculate the net course outcome attainment. So in this manner, if each course teacher, subject teachers evaluate themselves about the ratings, even we can see few things. Take for example, here for internal marks, for some example they have provided here. So if you are conducting frequently 5 to 7 weekly test, and for 10 marks, if you are doing C1 or C2 like this, and if the attainment level is 60% to 69% of the students have crossed this marks, so out of 10, each has to score 6 marks. If you consider it as a 6 marks, then 60% to 69%, if it is attained, that can be rated with 1.
ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸಲ್ಲ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಲೈವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸಲ್ಲ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕಳಿಸಲ್ಲ.
Prithvi sir, thanks for muting. Then if the pass percentage of the students on the benchmark, if it is between 70% to 79%, then it can be considered as attainment level 2. If it is more than 80%, then it can be considered as attainment level 3. Like this, we can make ourselves comfortable with evaluating the course outcomes, and together all the courses compelling a program outcome can be designed. So in this manner, if you do it easily, you can get, it will take bit technical work as well as some mental preparations for these things. Then only we can easily get the marks. See here, you can see target is 60%. So benchmark have been set as a 60%. Maximum marks, if it is 10, the minimum score has to be 6. Total number of students attended is 59, and the number of students attained that 6 marks is 40 students. So if you calculate the percentage, it stands between the 68%, where it is the attainment level 1. At the second test, they were able to achieve 97%, then the attainment level will be considered as 3. So like this, attainment levels have to be considered first, and together are taking the average of this. Internal examination average can be computed, and adding to the end examination, we will get the course outcome attainment level. If it is 2.2, then if you have 3 levels, so it's a good. If it is less than 1.5, that is below average, then you need to give suggestions on that. These type of mechanism should be followed, that has to be explained here. So where you will get the complete weightage, that is about 2.6.1. And the last question in key indicator 2.6 is 2.6.2 metric, pass percentage of the students during the last 5 years. Here, during the last 5 years, pass percentage means not about the first sem, second sem, or third sem. It is about, as per the SOP, only the final semester students. Here they are mentioned in the SOP. Final semester students, that means either 6th semester or 8th semester. What are the number of students appeared? If it is 100, how many of them have been passed? And that is not exactly only in the 6th sem, and they should be awarded with the degree. That means he or she should not have any backlog subjects. In 6th semester, they have passed in all 6 subjects or all 7 subjects, but they have one failure in previous any examinations, then they cannot be considered for the past percentage. That has to be removed. So to calculate like this, 2 formulas will be provided, 2 tables will be provided here. First one is number of final year student who passed the university examination year-wise during the last 5 years. We need to mention only the final year, final sem students appeared and passed. Passed in all 36 or 40 courses, not only in the 6th sem or final sem. And the second one is number of final year students who appeared for the university examination. That has to be given here. So here we will explain in the separate template which is provided by the NAAC to calculate the pass percentage. First we need to mention the year, next program code, program name, BCom. BCom is a program. Then we can mention it as BCom here in the 3rd column. In the 4th column, number of students appeared in the final year examination. Suppose if we have offering the 6 semesters in BCom program, 6th semester who have paid the examination fees, that number of students has to be recorded here. In the last column, out of them, how many have been awarded with the degree after the results? So who are eligible to get the convocation, that number has to be considered. If it is less, consider the actual seats only. So this is the formula to calculate the pass percentage, and the appear will be taken as a base, and the pass percentage will be taken in the numerator multiplied by 100. The pass percentage will be computed. So the last portion of criterion 2 is a student satisfaction survey. Here it has been allotted with 60 weightage. So before entering into this last key indicator, I would like to mention the DVV about the 2.6.2 as well. So the questions which are raised from the DVV partner at during the DVV clarification process, where they have mentioned, please provide the following signed documents having serial number in each. Point number A, list of final year students appeared for the university examination. Second one is list of final year student passed the university examination. Here they have mentioned in the letterhead we need to provide the documents for the NAC. So here means while answering to the this question, while preparing the SSR itself, if possible, take the signature from the competent authority, that is from the university. If they are unable to provide, then the principal can give the attestation by stating the total number with along with the complete details of the students list. So then that can be considered as a document to reduce the DVV. So the last key indicator is 2.7, which is allocated with 60 weightage. It will be mentioned as triple S, Student Satisfaction Survey, where satisfaction survey will take place once you enter into the NAC process and after submission of self-study report. I'm repeating, after submission of self-study report, that is after 45 days by submitting the SSR, in the next minute itself, the students will get the mail from the NAC to answer for those questions. Here, I would like to give the details that many of the institutions are failing to provide the data in a proper way, where students' email IDs will be wrong and it will be bounced back to the NAC while they send the mails. So it is the one of the complaint from the NAC. So before uploading the data, kindly check the active email IDs and provide the details. So this is the suggestions they have provided recently. So online student satisfaction survey regarding to teaching learning process. Here regarding the teaching learning process and other questions will be asked. But in criteria 1, only related to curriculum, not about the teacher. Here regarding the teacher and teaching and infrastructure, everything will be asked from the NAC. So hence this process belongs to the NAC and we need to provide the details in this format. That is name of the student, first column, second column gender, in the third column category of the student, state of domicile, and nationality if other than Indian, outside students if are admitted, those details. And email ID, active email ID to be provided, program name, and a register number has to be provided, then mobile number and year of joining. This data of present students. Here it is the data means not from the past 5 years. It is about the current academic year. Suppose if we enter into the NAC process today, so this academic year is about 22 and 23. So we need to provide the only student details of academic year of 2022 and 23, not the previous years. So the present students will give the marks according to the present condition. So, and students will be not aware of few technical words where about the experiential learning, ICT usage, or any other facilities which are student-centric methods. These type of words will not be familiar to the students, and NAC will be asking the question in the same manner. So that's why my request is, whenever a faculty member or teachers are entering into the class, while saying let us go for industrial visit on so and so date, instead of saying that, mention it as experiential learning. Let us go for experiential learning. So instead of taking let us have a group discussion today, let us learn in a participative learning manner. So like that, words has to be familiarized to the students, which will be yielding good weightage at the time of triple S. So, and regarding this also, the student has to be provided with the awareness when it will happen and how you will get the mail, how to answer for that. The process need to be explained. So this is all about the criterion 2.1, which is of 60 weightage. It comes to the at 4-point scale 240 score. So 240 marks is in the hands of your institutional students. So out of that, many of institutions have scored 239, told to the maximum of 239 also scored, and many of the institutions have scored less than 200 also. That is 190, 180 also they have scored. They landed up with the C grade or very, very less CGPA. So here also students also plays a major role with the 60 weightage in their hands with the practical experience. So this is all about the criterion 2 and data verification and validation process. I have been explained whatever the things. Now, if you have any doubts and clarifications regarding interactions, it's open session for all. So kindly mention in the chat box if you have any doubts or clarification required.
Thank you, sir. It
Sir,
was
good
indeed.
afternoon, sir. Yeah, go ahead. Hello.
Ma'am, please, you can continue.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have just have a doubt about that students faculty ratio. Is that in UG UG level 25:1 or in what about Hello,
It's
sir?
it's a set of standard as per the UGC. 25:1 must be there. So if it is
No,
less than 25, it will be helpful for the institutions to
sir, I'm asking that whether the UG category or PG category.
both.
Both 25:1.
Both 25:1.
But I came to know that 15:1 is the far better like that.
Anything 10:1 is also far better, ma'am. But less than 25:1, if it is there, then we can give individual attention to the students. Then it is helpful for students. That is what UGC requires. If it is cross more than 25, then we are unable to provide the individual attention to them. So that's the thing. Ideal they have. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So good afternoon, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, madam.
Sir, this is with regard to the metric 2.5.1, sir, submetric. We were talking about grievances, redressals, no? Like you said,
Yes.
focusing on internal assessments.
Yes, ma'am.
And for those programs where we have practicals also, like we do have a social work program, and we have many science programs also, sir, where we have practicals. So
Yes,
for
ma'am.
those programs involving practicals, any redressal regarding practicals, generally with internals, they may not have, but for your, just as a casual remark, you told for those programs with practicals, grievances with regard to external assessment, you were saying, no, so there was some sort of ambiguity there. Could you just tell us once more, like, because you were saying the grievances about the internal assessment, so that was clear. But you were
Yes.
talking something to do with practical so there was some, so just on that, if you could
Yes,
just.
yes. Regarding that also, I would like to mention practical subjects. If you are offering, then the external members should be our license officer should be appointed from the institution, and they have to handle the grievances. That is the one portion. And the second thing is, if you are taking to the students to the outside, and regarding the facilities, if they have the grievance, that cannot be considered here. If it is related to allotment of marks, writing the examination, unable to attend that program which is related to allotment of marks, then that can be considered as a grievance.
Okay, sir. Okay, okay, sir.
Yes. Many of participants are telling about it was a very informative session. Thank you, everyone. Jacqueline have been mentioning about since minority institutions do not need to follow the regular reservation policy, do they need to fill the table on this? Yes, sir. All the questions, all 55 questions is compulsory. How many seats you will allot? You should have a mechanism, and how many seats have been allocated, that has to be. If it is a minority institution, according to your policy, you will fill it. So reservation policy, what you have, they want to know that, and how much seats have been allotted or available to the students. That is what the concern. So all the questions, there is no opt out nowadays in the new manual. There is no facility of opting out the questions or metrics. It is only about attending all the informations we need to provide and all the questions need to be answered. Yes, madam. Anybody else?
Dear participants, if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat box. Thank you, sir. It was indeed important information. I don't find any queries in the chat box.
Yes, many of them are mentioning it was informative, and they are, I think they have the clarity about the criteria too as well.
Yes, sir. Hope so.
Yes.
It has been such an honor to be part of your session, sir. On behalf of our St. Teresa's Degree College for Women and the entire fraternity of Institute, I express our sincere gratitude to you, sir.
Thank you.
The session was indeed informative and enhancing. We have lots of insights which were given today regarding criteria 2 to be concentrated on teaching, learning, and evaluation. This session obviously eased us in various requirements in terms of documentation and best teaching learning practices to be inculcated as an individual and as an institution. This being a criteria with highest weightage is indeed a crucial element in accreditation process to be compiled with by catering quality-based education in institution. Thank you, sir. I thank all the participants, principals, deans, academicians, research scholars, faculties from various universities, colleges across the nation who have joined us for this session from their busy schedule. I also thank our principal for her ideas and elegance. And I also thank organizing and technical team for their support. I request all the participants to kindly join tomorrow's session exactly at 2 p.m. We will connect back and the feedback link will be shared in the chat box now. Kindly fill the feedback. It will be open for 15 minutes only. Feedback link is shared in the chat box. Participants, you can fill the feedback form. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you once again, one and all.
We will end the session now. Thank you all.
அங்க சொன்னா அது மாட்டிட்டு